Welcome here. I am Linda Paulowska. I am a storyteller who shares life stories, but I don't just stop at storytelling. I actually dive deep to understand people and their journeys. My goal is to improve human experiences, which led me to the field of service design. I am now studying for an Erasmus Mundus master's degree in service design, where my class is filled with passionate colleagues from all around the globe. And since I love human stories, I couldn't resist sharing their amazing experiences with all of you. So I warmly invite you to this podcast series where we will talk about the journeys of my classmates traveling the world and, of course, diving into service design. So today my wonderful guest here is Somshubhra, or as we call him, Som, from India. Hello, Som.
Hi.
Yes, and as usually, I take some time to think and to reflect how I see my guest here. And I have written down some notes about how I see you, Som.
Exciting.
Yes, with Som, we have been working together within several bigger or smaller groups, so I think we have gotten to know each other quite well. So first of all, and also, it's not about just study work. You have been quite involved also in my family. Yeah, so it's kind of like he has gotten to know my family as well. And then have I seen you some? From my perspective, when we started the classes and now you have changed a lot, or maybe that's just the first impression, because at the beginning I thought Som is introverted and now I think he is very extroverted. And his best skill, not the best of course, but one of the skills to highlight is definitely his sense of humor, because I think people love to be around him and when he jokes, everyone laughs. So I think that's something that describes Som very well. And then professionally, Som is very strong in service design due to his background, which we will talk later about. And he has been teaching me a lot, besides of the studies, but also from his experience about service design. And of course, about beautifying things for sure, because Som has been recognized for his excellent design several times. And even in the final pitch, when we pitched to the airport, the lecturer highlighted his excellent design. So that's something that he's super skilled about. And I think Som is very team oriented. And as you are skilled in several areas, and also a nice member in a group, you are very supportive and also taking extra time to teach others with some specific Miro tricks, with some design thinking, and also you will always take the initiative to do the visual design. And of course, native English speaker, which I value to have in my group, because I would always turn to Som and then ask is this correct in English? Because it's how I see you. And then and I think Som is generally you have we have very different opinions, but you are very good at describing yours and argumenting it, and Som would be always someone to whom I would go to regarding opinion to receive your opinion in several fields. Yeah, and then about India, you had taught me a lot about India, and I have been questioning you about India a lot, and you have shown me videos and photos, so it's kind of and now it's a bit of a story, because we are going to end our year together. We are going to be separated. You are going to Tallinn, and I'm going to Rovaniemi. So This is, maybe one of our last talks together here.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not, of course. But that's how I see you, and I think we have formed some very good relationship here.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. So tell me, how are you?
Yeah, I think so. After the classes ended here, I think my days and nights have all kind of been mixing into one, because like first of all, the days are here are getting longer and longer.
Yeah.
With this midsummer and the solstice, and like I've lost track of like time and everything. And I mean, it was getting longer previously, but now it's like very long. The sun just goes down and just comes up again. And for me, this is like very unique. Like I've never felt like this.
Really? How is
before.
like that in India?
It always has this like 4 p.m. till 6 p.m. Like through the seasons also it shifts, but like within the 2 hour window. It never like goes to like 11 p.m. and it's still the sun, and then like 12 a.m. and still some light. Like no, it never happens in India. So it's like this is new for me because we live near the equator, and as you go closer, So here, that's what's been happening with people leaving Kuldiga slowly.
Yeah.
A lot of farewells, a lot of goodbyes, mixed feelings, bittersweet. But today, especially, it has been one of my best days here. Actually,
Really?
because today I've been like all over the place. I started my morning. I found myself driving to Yurkalne.
Yeah.
We were at the beach for a long time, just swimming, just sunbathing. And then we came back, and then some other people were at the river, so we just joined them at the river. We were swimming again. Then we started crossing the Venta.
Yeah.
Then we suddenly had this feeling that we should jump, and then we found a rock and we dived into the waterfall.
Yeah.
And so much adrenaline. Like I don't know like what to do with it right now, but so now as I sit here, I smell like the Baltic Sea. I smell like the flying fish. I smell like Latvia, actually.
So you have become a bit of Latvian here,
Yeah.
of local here. So tell us about your background. Where are you from? How old are you? Because we want to know specifically. Like, tell us about you. Where are you from?
I'm from Kolkata. Kolkata is in the eastern part of India. It's very close to Bangladesh. We share a border with Bangladesh, actually. It was all one country before, and then before the British came and divided it somehow. And I have grown up in Kolkata. I've moved around a bit during my childhood, but generally, I am from India. I studied in the southern part of India, in the city called Bangalore.
Okay.
I was there for a few years.
But let's not jump into the university yet, because I have some middle questions.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell how old are you? Do you want to jump in?
Yes, I'm 24 years old.
24.
Yes.
Okay. And how about your family? Do you want to do you have siblings?
Yes, I have a younger sister. She is 4 years younger to me. And my parents and my sister, we have a pretty small family. Yeah.
Yeah. And then before you jump to the university, which I will definitely want to know about, like, tell me about the general school system in India. How many grades do you have? And how is it like public, private? How many kids in a school? How is this happening?
Yeah, so there's both private and public. The public school systems, which are run by the government, mostly they're not the best in terms of education, because, as you know, India is a huge country, and to govern that country and to provide like public services, it's not an easy task. The government tries, but then there's still a lot of corruption, a lot of problems going on. My mom actually teaches in a public school, so I know it pretty well.
Oh, wow. So she's a teacher.
She's a teacher. She teaches geography in high school, and she teaches in a public school in India, in Kolkata. But my education, I have studied in a private school all through my life. And there are 12 grades. So there's preschool, which is like nursery and kindergarten. Yeah. And then you go from standard 1 to standard 12.
Okay.
So in the 10th standard, you have a public examination, which you have to pass. Like that's like the examination to go to high school. And then the last 2 years, the 11th and 12th standard is high school. And then at the end of 12th standard, you give another examination, which is like, it's a board exam. So every student in India to go to college, they need to pass this exam. So that's been my journey as well, like every other Indian kid. Yeah.
Yeah, and I might have this weird question, like how many kids are in the school? Because why I'm asking this, because I hear in China it's like up to 60 kids. In Nigeria, something similar, and also like boarding schools are very common. because that's the opposite from here. So tell me, how many kids did you have in school?
For me, it was 35, 30 to 35.
Okay.
Some classes may have had 40, but not more than 40 in my school, which was a private school. If you go and look at public schools, there's way more. So where my mom teaches, for example, they have like 80 kids.
80 kids
80
in a
kids in a
class.
classroom, and these are like small rooms, like packed with kids, because they don't have that much infrastructure, and they still have to and because the government is providing the services, most of the education for like the lower standards, it's free for a lot of
Yeah.
people, because they can't afford it otherwise, and the government wants people to study. So they have to kind of fit more people into smaller classes, and that's how it works in public schools. That's why the quality of education also dips, because the teacher attention for a student decreases with so many kids, right? So yeah.
There's only one teacher, like one adult with
Yes, with 80 kids.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Is it like discipline? Like very disciplined?
No. It's, I mean, how can it be? Like, first of all, like many of these kids, like they're first time learners, they're first generation getting education. And then it's not that they want to study, it's that like, okay, we get free education, so why not go and like, because they also get like meals and stuff in school. So it's like the government tries to incentivize children to get educated, but the children actually come to for all these incentives, like, okay, I'll get a uniform, which is like a clothes for me, or I get like textbooks, which I can sell and make money.
Really?
Yeah, things like that happen all the time. Or I can get like, they have these meals for lunch or something that they get from the government. So, I mean, there's again corruption and stuff going on there as well, where they're like giving substandard meals and stuff to students. But let's not go into that. But yeah, for these incentives, people come to school, and then disciplining them is very hard, because if you come to like, for example, where I studied, people want to study. So they're coming
and
there.
And it's probably not the first time.
Yeah, we are not like first generation learners.
First generation.
So it's easier to discipline us than disciplining people who actually come to school because, just because it's a service that they get for free, so they just come.
Interesting. And so you mentioned like, and why I'm asking these questions, because I found out through these interviews that we are like coming from so different backgrounds, also like from the school age, because like is boarding schools common in India, and also like what is the timing you spend in a school as a school kid?
Yeah, boarding schools are, I mean, I don't know how common they are. There's a lot of boarding schools. There are very like, what do you call it? There's very expensive boarding schools as well for the Indian elite, where only like the richest of the rich go. There are like mid-tier boarding schools as well. Like, for example, my dad studied in a boarding school for, almost his entire life. And some of these boarding schools are really, really good, because disciplining kids when you have them throughout the day is actually kind of easier. Like you can put them in a routine, and you can like groom them since like early childhood. So it's kind of nice. But I didn't go to a boarding school. I went to a day school. And generally the timings are 7 to 8 hours, I would say. So we went at like, we started at 8:30 every morning, and we were there till 2:33. So that's about it. I mean, some schools kind of start in the afternoon a little. So some schools might start at like 11 or 12 and they go on till like 5 or 6. Like that can happen as well. But yeah, that's like kind of.
Yeah, because I heard from the others that studying in where in the classroom are so many kids, it's like very competitive environment. So people kind of like put a lot of pressure on educating the kids, and kids are very focused to get very, very good education.
Yes, I mean, when you come from a country where there's like so many people, we have like 1.4 billion people, and of course you can't have work for this many people. You know, it's very hard to like provide quality employment to this many people. Because of that, I think we grow up in a very competitive environment. We feel that like if we can't beat the person next to us, we can't get ahead in life in a way. So that kind of builds like a weird sense of competition from very early in your childhood. Like you would have to get better grades like than your peers to kind of stand out, to kind of go to a better university. And when it comes to like after school, that you have all these competitive exams that you need to give and you need to clear.
Yeah.
And only then you get to the best universities. So if you want to get to the best university in India, you have to compete with like millions of people in exams that are very, very tough.
Yeah.
And only when you get through these exams and you get a good rank, only then you make a spot in these top tier schools, basically.
Yeah.
So the competition is high, and even after that, the competition never stops, because even after you're out of the university, you have to give the same competitive exams for jobs. If you want like a government job, which is very secure, like you get like a good payment, you have like job security, and you have like pensions and stuff. So for these kind of jobs, there's like immense competition in India. Like people are dying to get these jobs, and they like prepare for years to like kind of crack this exam, and they get a good rank, and they have a good job, and they have a secure future for their family. I mean, which I get it. I get the urge to provide this for yourself and for your family. But yeah, this also creates this weird sense of like, this dynamic is not very healthy in a way, in a lot of ways, where everybody is looking out for themselves. They're like, no, I want it for myself. Even though we come from a very collectivist society, even though India is like, nobody's kind of alone. Like you will never feel alone because you're always surrounded by people.
Yeah, you showed me the video of the bus in India.
Exactly.
It's like you can never feel lonely there.
Yeah. I mean, there's always people around you, and people are always like looking out for you as well. Like if you're in a community, the community bonding is very strong. In cities, it's getting like, slowly people are becoming more and more individualistic, and they're moving away from other people, and the community is getting weaker, I would say. But even today in rural areas, the bonding between people is very strong. But still, there's some way there's like, okay, I need to get ahead of this other person. If they get something better than me, I'm kind of jealous of them. Like a lot of these negative feelings also come with competition, which I mean, I don't appreciate that much, but that's how the situation is.
Yeah, well, of course it makes sense. Like if you say the amount of people that needs to find their place in life, it's like, well, yeah. So tell us about your bachelor's. You have a bachelor's degree in major in business system and system design.
Yes.
It's go ahead. Go.
Yeah, I have a Bachelor of Design.
Okay.
So I mean, after 12th, after I gave my board exam and after I cleared my school and I passed out of it, I mean, every Indian kid has to decide like, what now? And there's two very very popular options.
Okay.
Many people go into engineering because, as you know, India is very very good in IT and stuff like that. But because nowadays everybody kind of goes into it, it has kind of become like there's not much enterprising people in it anymore. People are doing like, people have to like compete for very low paying jobs because it's become very saturated, the market in general. And even the Western world kind of like treats India as their like this back office, like where they can get work done cheaper,
of course.
So the IT jobs are like, the engineering as a stream has become very, very popular. It has started like way before I was born, but like it's still very popular in a way. And like most people kind of give these exams for engineering colleges. Medical is another thing that people want to do a lot. Like people want to become doctors because it's very secure, it's well paying, and of course like it's very hard work, but like if you get in and if you can do well, then yeah, your future is kind of secured. Other people, they look into other streams. Some people don't go into these professional courses, they study I don't know, like any subject that they're interested in, like they study literature or history or whatever. That's also an option. But after these, there's like, they have to go back to the job market and give these exams again to get like a job, you know.
So it's like you graduate and then you do all the exams to graduate, and then you again do the exam to get a job.
Yes.
Okay.
So when I was in this crossroads, I was thinking about like what I can do actually. And I have, like as a kid, I have always been interested in the arts. I used to paint, I used to do a lot of crafts, and my parents were also like thinking about it with me. It's not just my decision, because I was still not an adult in a way. And in India, like parents are like really involved in decision making as well for a long time. Like you will find even like 25-year-old men whose decisions are being taken by like their parents,
Okay.
which is kind of funny. I mean, no, let's not make fun of people, but yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that time my parents were also looking at like, okay, so this kid is here right now. He has graduated school. Like, what do we do after this? So like we were thinking about things, and then we suddenly like stumbled upon like, okay, there's design, which is an option, which is a stream that we can go into, we can explore. And then we were looking at colleges and universities that actually like give out these design degrees. And there were a few, like design in India is not very developed yet, of course, but it's coming up, and it's not saturated yet, which is a good sign, of course. So we gave it a shot, and I sat for all these competitive exams, because again, you have to give exams to get into university. And then of course I got into some universities, I didn't get into some, and then we had to choose. And then I somehow ended up at this university called Shrishti in Bangalore. It's in South India, in the state of Karnataka. And I had to move there for 4 years, and I was studying Bachelor of Design, which is actually not just one particular field. So we started with kind of everything. Like we studied general design first, in the first two years at least. And then slowly we started specializing. And towards my last year, when I had to actually write my thesis, or actually do a project, which was my thesis project, I chose service design because I found it interesting. There was no other reason, because throughout like the first 2 years, I had taken some courses which were related to service design, and I found it to be something that might have an impact on the world. And at that point, you're kind of like also like hopeful. You're just a child exploring this new world that has opened up to you. And I did my thesis, and I used service design approaches. So that's why I got a major in this business services and system design. And
But your bachelor's thesis were about service design, like
it was.
Okay.
I did 2 projects. One of these project was about developing financial literacy in rural women in India. So
I have seen this because you have a portfolio website, and
Yes.
we have discussed this before, and you have showed me the game that you developed.
yes. So what I was doing I was working with this NGO who basically worked with rural women in South India, and they helped them build different kind of skills, or to start businesses with their handicraft products or whatever they wanted to sell. And they also help these women with other aspects of their life, including financial literacy, which is a big problem, because women in India don't really, like in rural areas, women in India don't really know what to do with money. They don't know how banking systems work, or how to manage their money, or how to invest it. So what I was doing in this project was I developed this board game that can actually be used in these workshops run by the NGO, where the instructor can use this board game and make the women play this board game, where they would learn the concepts of banks or savings accounts or fixed deposits, or how to invest money, how to get like how to avoid risks by not taking money from money lenders or chit funds. And yeah, that was one project which I did. I made a prototype of the game and I tested it out.
You went through all the service design steps, right?
Yes, started with research, where it was helpful that I was working with an NGO, because they had the contacts, they connected me with the women themselves, and I talked to the women to understand what they actually need, what they're lacking in their education, which I can actually build on. Then I talked to the trainers who were actually helping these women. So after talking to all these people, I went into iterations and ideation. And after ideating for a while, I stuck on this board game idea, because it felt good. It felt like it's easy to build, and then it can actually be like implemented. And because many service design projects are like very vague, and then it doesn't go into implementation. Execution is where service design is lacking, I would say, right now in the current landscape. And something that can like when you can turn a service into a product as well, and then you can actually like spread it out or actually deploy it, I think it has more potential for impact. So yeah.
That was the first project. The second project?
The second project, I was working with this electrics company in India, electrical equipment company called Havels, and we were developing. So basically, the Havels wanted to get into the market of electric vehicles later.
Okay.
They are not yet there, but in the future they have plans of going into that market. So me and my teammate, we were developing this toolkit for setting up electric vehicle charging stations in India. So we were writing this toolkit about what the EV landscape is right now in India, how it is developing, the stakeholders in it, the people you need to approach in order to like set up this electric vehicle charging station. If you have a space and if you want to set up a EV charging station, what steps do you need to do? What permissions you need to take from the government? Who are the stakeholders who can actually help you? How you can actually manage this charging station later. So this was kind of the toolkit that we built.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so then you graduated, but then also now you have some work experience because you were doing some consultation work. What did you do?
Yes, after graduation, I started working at this think tank. They were like a consultancy, which was based in Malaysia and the Philippines. And the work that we did with them was, it was in the social impact sector, and we were working with a lot of organizations that are on the ground. Like we were working with UNDP, we were working with Asian Development Bank, we were working with International Labour Organization, World Health Organization, people who are actually change makers on the ground, kind of. And we were helping them leverage design thinking and strategic foresight.
Okay.
So these people, they had the vision that design thinking could kind of help them develop better programs or better policies or better initiatives for their projects. And we were teaching them the process of implementing design thinking into their work, because these people were non-designers, and we had to do a lot of workshops to kind of bring them to speed and to let them know that, okay, these are the tools, this is the process you follow, this is how you do non-participatory observation, this is how you do interviews, this is how you actually go out and make the conversation guide, and you collect the data, how you synthesize it, how you build insights from that data, how you come up with how might be questions, how you start ideating, how do you prototype. And this was a long process. So we had like these workshops which spanned months, but we could also condense it into like 5 days.
Okay.
So that it's like a sprint.
Like a sprint, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the kind of work we're doing. Also some strategic foresight work. So in that we were like using all these futures design tools that we actually learned here a few days back. Yeah. So backcasting and a change agenda or desired future or horizon scanning, all these things we also did with some of these organizations, yes.
And you did that for 2 years and then you...
Yes.
Then, okay, so basically like masters in service design is a regular continuation for you because...
Yes, it is. So in one thing again, in India, like it's not very common to kind of go away from what you studied in bachelor's, you know? Like,
okay.
It's not the norm. Like most people, if they do a bachelor's in history, they would do a master's in history. That's kind of how it is. Of course, in design, it doesn't really matter. You can actually not do the same thing again in your master's.
Yeah.
But I felt that, I mean, I was not yet done with service design in a way. I think that's more potential, and in the middle, kind of, I moved away from it a little. Like design thinking and foresight it's kind of in the same space, but it's not exactly service design, because I felt that I went into more of training and teaching other people.
Yeah.
So I was not exactly like leading service design projects or doing like or implementing the work, because here we were actually going into like, so if United Nations had these country offices in a particular area and they had these projects, let's say we were doing something with Guinea-Bissau, which is a country in Africa. Okay. So what we did is that, okay, they have this malaria crisis and they want to solve it, right? So we go and we work with the team and we teach them the design thinking tools which
Yeah.
they use, and
Yeah.
they develop the initiative and they implement it. So we are out after we teach them the things, which is something that kind of I did not like as much, because I also wanted to work, because I did not have experience actually working with service design in the real world.
Yeah, I understand what you're
So
saying.
yeah, so I was like, I should do a master's and I should actually get a job where I can actually implement something, you know. So that was my thought process.
Just a step back. How do you, a question that I ask to everyone, how do you explain service design to the people who are not in the field?
This
Tough question.
it's a tough question, because like sometimes I'm like, okay, I've become like so sick of people asking me again and again like what
Yeah.
service design is, and because it's not easy to explain. It's not
Yeah.
that I have a 2-minute pitch to give them, right? So it's a funny story, but like sometimes people have asked me, "Oh, design? Do you mean fashion design?" And I'm like, "Yes," because I don't want the conversation. I just want like, just
Okay,
give me
let's
some
go.
peace, man. But yeah, of course, like when someone asks me, I try to explain with the services that are already available. For example, I give them the example of Uber,
Yeah.
which is something that they use in India. If someone asks me, I would like, okay, if you see Uber, Uber is a service. It's not a product.
Yeah.
They don't sell cars, but they connect you with a driver that actually gives you a ride from one place to the other,
Yeah.
which is a service.
Yes.
But someone had to think of this service, and someone has to manage this service as it is running, right?
Yeah.
Someone is in the backend developing the app. Someone is in the backend checking your experience. Someone is in the backend actually thinking about customer support. Someone is in the backend actually onboarding drivers. And all this kind of forms this service. And someone is sitting there designing it. There's a team in Uber who's designing this service for you to have the best possible experience. And then people kind of understand. They're like, yeah, okay, there's some people who are thinking about it. So it's more like strategy. It's more like business development. It's so like service design has a lot of overlap, I think, with a lot of other fields.
Yeah.
It's not just something specific. It's not aeronautical engineering, which is like, okay, you know what that is. Like it's just, okay, I make parts for the aeroplane. So it's not that simple to explain, because it has so much overlap. But
And it can be applied to so many
so many other
fields
things.
also.
And and nowadays things are like getting more and more complex, right? With the business world, where like, okay, change management, like, which is like it sounds very vague, but like, yeah, service design can be implemented in change management, and it becomes harder to explain. But I think with examples and with existing services that people are already using, if you use those examples, it's easier.
It tells a lot about public services as well.
Yes.
And then how do you think, like, is service design in general a topic in India? Like people would understand it, like in public, in private sector, in NGOs?
Not really, because service design is still very, very nascent. Like, not many people know the word service design.
Yeah.
Of course, they know, they might be aware of the process, or they might be aware of what we are trying to do.
Yeah.
But they might not be able to define service design.
Yeah.
So while doing my thesis projects with the electric vehicles,
Yeah.
I was talking to a lot of people from the government. I was talking to a lot of people who work in think tanks, which are government run.
Yeah.
And these people are kind of doing the same thing that we are studying,
Yeah.
but they're not service designers. They're just consultants, or they're just public policy experts, right? So they have been hired by the government. And in India, there's this think tank called Niti Aayog, where I want to work someday. Fingers crossed.
Okay.
Which actually what they do is that they're a consultancy for the government for different public initiatives, and they design all these programs and services, which they run these pilot programs that can actually be scaled up for, because public services or designing public services is not a small task.
Of course.
And in a country like India, it's it's crazy is the only word I can describe it as. Because when you have 1 billion people and you want a service to reach 1 billion people, yeah, it can never like work perfectly. So, and it's not a product that you can just build once and scale up. It is a continuous iterative process. And yeah, in the public sector, in NGOs, I think there are people who are service designers. They just don't know they are. So yeah, right now I think when we like approached some of these people for interviews and we were talking to these people during our project, they were like, oh, so this kind of field actually exists, because this is something that we have been looking for so long, something that we already do maybe, but we are not aware that we are doing it. So yeah, I think we are like, we may be the first or second generation service designers in India. So we have a lot of responsibility in a way. If I want to go back to my country and work, I think I would be like a representative of service design where I can actually spread the word, you know. So yeah.
We will get to the question, what's your future plans? But now let's go into the study program where we study now. So we are now in the Erasmus Mundus master's degree, which is service design strategies and innovations. How did you find this program, or the program found you, or like how did you get in here? Because just to give a context, as always, there were 700 people applying for this program in the year when we applied, and only 32 people got in. So it's like a huge competition to be here. So how did you find it? How did you ended up to be here?
Yeah, first of all, it's not huge for me, the competition, because in India the competition is like crazier. So like there are like thousands and like tens of thousands of people competing for 15 seats. You know, like
Okay, so it depends from which part
yeah,
of the world
the
we come.
context. Yeah, but of course, like it was competitive for a European program, I would say, because I was applying for a lot of European programs at the time.
Really?
Yeah,
And it's all of them were connected to service design?
close enough. I was applying for some strategic design, some communication and stuff as well. But there were a lot of service design things, mostly in the UK, because UK is of course very good in service design right now. So I was applying to a lot of universities and I was looking for these courses.
Yeah.
And I actually got in to a college in Italy, a very good one, but I couldn't go last year. So in 2023, I was supposed to start in January because it was a 1-year program.
Okay.
And it was in Politecnico di Milano, which is really good. And I couldn't go because I didn't get a paper on time to apply for my visa.
Okay.
And it was very sad. But then I kept looking for more opportunities, and I don't know.
But so you really wanted to get to Europe to do your
Yes.
master's, and was Erasmus Mundus a thing there, or it just happened that this program is also Erasmus Mundus?
Yeah. So, of course, it was not like something that I was looking out for. I mean, I was looking just for master's program in service design. And why I wanted to come to Europe, there's a story there, because I was in France in 2019. I was on an exchange program.
During your bachelor's?
During my bachelor's. So in my third year of my bachelor's, for a semester, I was in Marseille.
Okay.
And I was because there also we were doing design thinking and innovations, or that's what it was called, the program. So we were working with some French companies on some projects which were service design related. And here I saw that many people actually know what service design is. It was not as uncommon or as unheard of as in India.
Yeah.
So I felt that, that was a major reason and major turning point where I decided that, okay, if I do a master's, I would probably go to Europe, because in Europe, at least, service design is more developed in a way. It's not as new as in India. Because in India, a lot of times, service design can be confused with UX. And
user experience.
many people just think that UX is service design, but it's not. It's not. And I don't like when people just say that, okay, you design apps. Because no, that's a part of it. It can be, but it's not just that. And in Europe, I felt that it's more, of course, it's like, it was my personal experience a little bit, and then most of it was also like assumptions or what I researched, right? And it felt like there were more studios and more companies that were actually working on service design projects. And a lot of governments right now in Europe, UK mostly, they are also taking in a lot of service designers, which was encouraging. So I wanted to do a master's to actually get into the job market here, which is, so future we can talk about later, but So Erasmus was not something that I was looking out for, but while looking for these programs, I kind of stumbled upon this website with all these Erasmus Mundus joint masters programs. And then I was like, okay, interesting, but like, do I have anything that will interest me? And then I found SDSI. And then I went to this website and I was like, wow.
This is exactly.
This is amazing. And they were like, okay, we are like in the intersection of technology, management, and or whatever they said, I don't know, business and design. I was like, perfect. And then they were like, okay, we have scholarships. And oh, like, yeah, great. So,
Getting better.
yeah. So, I mean, but of course, the application process was not as simple, because for some universities that I applied to, it was just that, okay, you have a portfolio, you have a CV, you have your documents, you submit it, and that's it. And they get back to you, or they have an interview for you if they shortlist you, and then you have the interview and you get in, or you get out. Like, it's a simpler process. But here it was like, okay, you have 2 months to do this assignment, and you have to do a video, and you have to like send all this assignment like deliverables to us by this time. Then you get shortlisted. If you do, you come for an interview, you explain yourself, and then we decide later if we give you the scholarship or not, or whatever. So it was a longer process in a way. But I mean, while I was doing the SDSI assignment and submitting that, I was also applying to other programs as well. And at the end of it, I was with all these, when I actually got the results, I was sitting with all the things that I got accepted into, and I was thinking of like what to do now. So but then SDSI was my choice for many reasons. First was that it recently got this Erasmus Mundus thing, and once I discovered it, I actually researched about what Erasmus Mundus is, and what like Erasmus in general, what it does. And I mean, it sounded prestigious and whatever. So I was like, oh, okay. But this was still a new program. It was not like going to an established university, like, because I got into some university in the UK, which were like more established in a way, right? Like there was like, I got into UAL, which was University of Arts London, which is like very prestigious in a way as well. So I was thinking about it, and then this opportunity of actually exploring 3 different countries and studying in 3 different places, and all this kind of excited me.
Because also to give a context, because this program requires that we study on site in 3 different locations, which is Latvia, in a small town called Kuldiga, then Tallinn, Estonia, and Rovaniemi, Finland. So now we have been together here for the first year. We have finished the first year in Kuldiga in Latvia. So how is it? Like, how has it been for you arriving here, getting used to life here, and
For me, I'm still not done with this town in a way. Sometimes I feel I'm ready to leave, but then sometimes I don't, because coming from a very congested, densely populated city, when you come to Kuldiga, you're like, wow, we can actually have this much space for ourselves. And it's a cultural shock.
Okay.
Because like in India, you can't just walk alone on the streets. But here, once I came, and for a few days, I was kind of trying to get used to this silence. So when I went home from school at night, I was just sitting there or making my food, and I could actually hear myself breathe. And this I've never felt. Because if you're living in India, for another thing is that I've never lived completely alone. So I've lived with my family, I've lived with my flatmates, I've lived with my friends. But I've always shared a house with other people. Even my room, like for the most of my childhood, me and my sister shared a room. Then in my college, when I was in Bangalore, I shared a room with my roommate, and we had flatmates, and we were like living in a flat. And suddenly I was here in this apartment where it was just me. And at night, everything was dark outside and there was no one. And I was like, what do I do now? Like, and I was like talking to myself, and I was like, I couldn't like get used to this sense of being alone. I was not lonely, but I was alone. And there's a difference there, which I kind of slowly like started exploring the difference of loneliness and being alone. And it was it was a revelation. Like when you're alone, it reveals a lot about yourself. You get to like learn so many things that about you which you don't really get to see every day. And Kuldiga for me like was like a retreat.
Really?
Yeah, because it's a beautiful town. I think many people, because they've been living here for 10 months, they have stopped appreciating it for how beautiful it is. Like, if anyone like told me in my life that, okay, you will be in Kuldiga, which is this town like 3 hours away from Riga, which is the capital of Latvia, I would never believe them. And today I'm here and I've been living here for a year. And yeah, I mean, it's unimaginable. It's a fairy tale experience actually. Like, I mean, for me, it's been such a unique thing to do. Like, yeah, I mean, I could have been in London, but it would have been just the same. It's just a city. Like, this experience of living in a small town, which I have never had, is so valuable to me, I would say.
How would you describe Kuldiga and Latvia to people so they understand, like, what are we talking here? Because my experience is Latvia, and I was born in Kuldiga, I was raised in Kuldiga, so it's kind of like easier for me. But like, how would you describe this town so people in India can imagine where do you live now?
Okay, so coming to Latvia, first let's start from Latvia.
Yeah.
Because
Did you know where Latvia?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
My geography was not very bad, so
No, your mom is a teacher,
yeah, exactly.
so you should.
So I was raised well. I knew where the countries are, but of course I never imagined being in Latvia, because I mean, for Indians going abroad, there's also a trend, right? Like, Indians mostly go to one of these four countries. They either go to the US, they go to the UK, Australia, or Canada. Majorly because of the language, because they can speak English very well, because of colonization and everything bad that happened. But yeah, now we are very good English speakers. We can easily integrate into these countries, easier than others. Coming to a country where English is not the first language is harder. That's why Europeans, like people coming to Europe, students coming to Europe, is lesser than the US or the UK. So Latvia is something that I never expected to be in. But yeah, life works in weird ways, and it somehow brought me here. Coming to Latvia is not easy from India, because there's no direct flights.
Okay.
Yeah. So you will never get a flight from an Indian city to Riga directly. Never.
Okay.
So I had to change like three flights to reach Riga. Right? So it's been a journey, like arriving to. I mean, I was used to Europe before. Like, I was not new to Europe, because like when I was in France, I traveled around a bit. I never came to the Baltics, but yeah, I was around Europe. So I was not the first time coming into a continent. So it was not like that huge of a revelation for me. But then when I came to Latvia, I landed up in Riga, and then I was in this bus with one of our colleagues, like coming to this town.
With whom did you come?
With Tim. I was just coming to Kuldiga, and then once we reached here, we were like, we were just standing there for a few moments, and we were like, this is small. And I mean, for him, maybe not that much, because like he comes from Cologne, he's from Germany. But for me, like, I don't know, I looked around, and there were people, but there were so few that I couldn't even like believe like I was in this place where there's. And of course, I actually researched a lot before coming here. I was on Google Earth looking at the streets of Kuldiga. I was like, I was very, very into it, you know. And I mean, I knew the population was around like 10,000 in this town, and I was like, no, that's like one apartment building in India. Like 10,000 people is nothing. And suddenly I was here, and Kuldiga is like, it's. I mean, I wrote about it a lot, like in my first few months, because that's the only way I could express like things. So I would say it's like this quaint, serene, like town with like a river flowing through it, and it's very calm. The people, like they don't bother you, like, you know, like you if you don't want to, you cannot have human interaction for a extended period of time, which is like, which is very alien to me. But yeah, but they're also warm. Like you approach them on the street and they're like, and they smile at you, and like sometimes it's just like you start building a life in a new place, and you're just walking down the street, and then you slowly recognize people because you've seen them before,
Yeah.
and that's when you slowly start knowing that you're becoming a citizen of the town, right? For even if for a like short period. But for me, like Kuldiga kept revealing itself. There's still streets that I have never been to. Like last night, I was just driving with Timmy, and I was like on these streets that I've never gone, a little outside maybe, but like there's still this town has still not revealed itself fully to me, and but it has also in many ways. Like I mean, you for example, like you like revealed a lot of Latvian culture for me. You like invited me to these like celebrations at your home, and like we had dinner together, and like just like these small things like can add up to your idea of a culture, right? Of a people. And I mean, for me it's like something which I didn't imagine. So everything seems like so nice to me.
Really? I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
How did you feel? Because like there are probably not many Indians in this town. Let's be honest. How did you feel like being alone here from your culture?
Not bad. I mean, I know that. I mean, I've seen, at least in my life, that Indians are a people. If you bring like more than one of them, they'll try to stick together. It might come from a lot of things in the past, or like some insecurities, some complexes. I don't know what, but in my experience, of course, I'm not generalizing. In my experience, the people I've seen, they tend to stick together, which is not a bad thing. But I have never been like someone to stick with. Oh, I will find my kind of people, and I'll just stick with them, because in my heart, I want to explore. I want to get to know people who are not like me, and that's the reason I'm here, because I want to get to know you, or like the others in our class who are very different from me. And I mean, I got that opportunity here because, of course, there was no one else to steal my thunder. I was the only person. I could say whatever about India, and people had to believe it. And
You kind of like represent India,
Yeah.
so we are like, if you do something, we're like, probably all Indians do that.
But that's not the case, by the way. I just need to state it for the record. But yeah, I mean, I did not really feel that I mean, of course, I missed my family and stuff,
Yeah,
but
of
of course,
course.
I did not miss like, oh, having Indians around. It's not something that's that important to me. I think I can integrate well with people. I can mingle well with people. I mean, my personality kind of changed in the 1 year, like you were saying in the beginning. It's true, because I've felt it as well.
Really, because that's how I felt about you at the beginning. When we
It's
were
true.
put it in a group together, like you were very introverted, but then
So
now I don't see you introverted at all.
that's true, and there's a lot of history to it. Like, okay, I am an introvert. I'm still an introvert. Like you can't say that I'm an extrovert, because I still like my time. Like I still like to take my time off from people. I like time for myself to recharge and then get back to a social like encounter. But so generally, like I've always like had my friends or my people where I'm not like shy, like, because in the beginning I might come off as shy because I take time to open up to people. So unless I know you, or I can feel comfortable with you, I won't open up to you as much as I can do today, right? So when I went for my bachelor's, I took a year to kind of like settle down, to find the right people that I can actually like be friends with, because like, okay, you know people, but like,
Yeah.
are you really friends with them?
Yeah.
Because it takes time to build friendships. Here, when I came, it was not very, it was not random, because I also, in my mind, I also thought about it, because I thought that, okay, there's 1 year with people, because some people will just go to a different university later and they won't be here with me the next year. And I want to make the most of this experience. So I need to speed up my time of getting to know people or opening up to people. I tried my best and I think I was pretty successful. And now I've unlocked this other part of my personality which I can use. So I'm still not an extrovert. If you drop me in a random bunch of people, probably I won't do as well with you guys, because now I know you and now I feel comfortable and I have built on that skill for some time. And it's been a conscious effort. So, but I think I feel very good about it, that I was able to do it. I was able to break that barrier and be like, okay, I'll jump into it and I will see what happens. So it was a challenge for me, but yeah, I think SDSI did that to me. Now I can present to random people without even thinking twice, which is something I couldn't do before. It's not that I was born as an orator.
Yeah, you just presented in the SDSI conference for the service designers from all different kind of parts of the world, and
I feel very loose there. I feel like like my body doesn't feel tense anymore presenting to people. Like going in front of people, like walking up on stage, I feel much more confident after this program, which is something that, I mean, I haven't actually reflected on it. Now that I'm speaking to you, I'm reflecting. So it's something that has been added to my skill set in a way. So I'm pretty happy about that.
And I think like also exploring a lot of cultures, because you get to explore Latvian culture, but also you guys were sharing with each other your own cultures, because you were preparing dinner for, sorry, what was the name of the Indian celebration that you were?
Diwali.
Diwali, yeah, you were inviting people to this Diwali celebration that you prepared for us, and like several people did this kind of things, and I think it's way more than just studies here.
Yes, of course.
It's a lot about new friendships, a lot about culture, a lot about opening up, and I think there is a lot of, and I think for like about you, like so many people are happy that you are here, because your sense of humor, the way you joke, like everyone loves. So it's kind of like it goes both ways.
I feel blessed. Thank you.
Yeah, I will be sorry that you will be leaving, because my mom doesn't speak English, but she likes some so much. And then I think something else that you have been that you have been doing good is that you took all the opportunities, because there was opportunity to, like, there was a call, like, let's go to the kindergarten to talk about your culture and get to know Latvian kindergarten, and you were like, okay, let's go. It's like you take all the opportunities to get to know this place, to get to know people. And like in my family, you were joining for Christmas for the children's party, and I think like it's super. It will be sad that you will be leaving, but not to cry here. So yeah, my next question was like, what are your biggest takeaways from this year? But maybe you already.
I covered some of them.
Yeah.
So what we learned. Let's start from there. I think the first semester, what we were learning, it was more about the service design process, which I was actually training other people before. So it was not new material for me. But what I was learning in that was working with people from different backgrounds, from working with people from different cultures, working with people who don't see eye to eye with you all the time. And that was a big takeaway for me. Like, I think people skills, or how to manage working in this like multifaceted what do you call it, like a diverse team, basically, for lack of a better word. And I think that's my biggest takeaway, working with people who are not like you. I think also in the second semester, when this SSE Riga was taking over the courses, these business courses were something that I haven't done before. So there was a lot of takeaways there, mainly in the project that we were doing, this innovation lab, where we were trying to work on the startup idea and actually bring it to market, which is something which is a crazy process. Like this experience, like mostly taught me that I should never run a business because I'm not ready for it, because I don't have the energy and the effort to put into this huge venture, and it's not just one day. It's a huge commitment if you want to start a business or start any initiative. And I don't think I have it in me. I don't think I have the drive to get through such a thing. So I would rather not. I would stick with like.
Well, that's a good learning too.
Yeah.
That was something that I learned actually too, and in the finals when we had to like say our feedback to the teachers, I learned I am not going to do the startup. That's a good learning as well. So
yeah. But the other business courses that were there, accounting and like strategy and all these things, I think it helped me a lot, like just to see design, but from a different perspective. Because the more, like in today's world, I think the more things you know about and the more well-rounded you are in your with your knowledge, I would say, I think it's easier to adapt with the fast changing landscape of any industry. And I think having like not just design but also some business insights, some technology insights, I think it really helps. So yeah, it was pretty much that. I mean, those were my key takeaways.
do you have any takeaways regarding the culture here? Because we didn't uncover the differences in the culture within Latvia and India. Do you have something that you noticed? You just said like people are smiley, but how do you?
Yeah, like of course people like smile, and like sometimes in the beginning, at least, when because we don't look the same in a way, like so
kind of.
the more different that you look, I think people have more interest in like, who is this person? And I think like there was some other people like who felt the same, Joshua, Xavier, like they felt the attention. And yeah, we used to joke about it, like with Cesar, we were like, oh, we are the brown boys now, and it's like
You're a luxury here.
yeah, exotic.
Exotic, yeah.
But I think like, of course, that like in the first few months the interest was there, but also I feel that people were very welcoming. Like they if you had to approach someone and even if you didn't speak Latvian, and I tried to learn my best. I did A1, I would say, and like now I can say like little words and phrases here and there. It's not much, but I mean it's something. And but even before that, I mean, people didn't really judge you. Like they tried to help you. Like most people that I met, they tried to help. They wanted to have conversations with you, which was a little hard because like. Of course, I couldn't keep up and I couldn't understand, and I felt bad because like what to do in this situation. If I was alone, I was just looking around for help. And but it was nice to feel invited. It was nice to feel welcome in this new place. And what's different from India, I mean, it's not like people are also inviting and welcoming in India. Culturally, I would say that that's something that strikes up with them as well. But I mean, the number of people is like again a big thing. Like you're living in a city with this few people. Culturally, it's not the same for me. And I mean, like any other country or any other people, if you put in a little effort into knowing the culture, if you put in a little effort in learning the language, in trying to speak it, even if you're not perfect, if you try to speak, people smile wider.
Of course.
And that's something that would happen with you. If you go to India and speak the language of the place, they will like be more accepting and they'll be in awe of you because you are at least putting in the effort. You're not just a foreigner who has come with like this huge ego that like, oh, I'm the best. Like you're at least trying to become a part of the people, and people appreciate it. And I felt it here as well. And that's a takeaway I would take with me, because probably I would move like to other countries and I would like meet other people in my life. So yeah, that's something that I realized and I felt the impact of. So yeah, I think those are the things.
And the last question, what are your future plans? So what are you going to do next, and what are your future plans? I know you are going to Tallinn.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have my vision too much into the future. For now, I would just want to finish the program. I would be in Tallinn from this August, and then I would be in Rovaniemi doing my thesis later. And I want to survive the winter. This is something I didn't talk about actually. In Latvia, the winter was
So how was
it's
it?
so hard because coming from a tropical country, you suddenly like drop into this place where there's minus 15, keeps going down, minus 20, minus 23. And I'm like, what do I do now? Like, and during Christmas, like the Christmas break was, I mean, thank God there were some people in town that I could hang out with, because otherwise I would be dead. Like, it was very hard. Like every morning, like you would like take the snow out from your entrance because you couldn't get out. The worst thing that happened to me was once I had a keyhole and the keyhole froze, so I couldn't insert the key. And I was just standing there with a lighter trying to melt the snow like a maniac. Like, I don't know, like all these things. I actually didn't speak about winter at all, but like, yeah, now I'm speaking about it because it's been a highlight of my experience here.
But next year you're gonna be in Rovaniemi in Finland, where where
Yeah,
it is supposed to be,
I'm ready.
even
Minus 40.
hard. Yeah.
Minus 40, here I come.
Yeah.
But no, my future plans, yeah. Let's get back there. I would say that I'm not really sure still where I can fit in, where I can actually contribute, what I can do with my life. I don't have it figured out, and I have no shame in saying that, because like, yeah, who does?
That's part of the process.
Who does? And I'm trying to see where I can go with it, and I have some ideas like that I can explore. Maybe I can get a PhD somewhere, and like if I actually wanted to do some research, I would get a PhD. I would want to teach, because that's something that I think I would enjoy, because in my life I like to teach people, and I think if I get the opportunity to teach at some point in my life, I would be happy to do it. I also think that, like I was saying about this think tank based in India, which works for the government. It's called Niti Aayog, and they work on all these public institutions and public projects for the government. And I would want to work as a consultant there at some point in my life, like after I have gained some experience and I could actually like contribute something there. That's something I would definitely want to do, to do something for my country, to give back a little, because it has done something like so much for me. It has like brought me here, raised me, and I would want to give something back to my people, because there's lots of things that are needed in India. It's not a perfect place, it's far from it, and there's lots of things that need development, need help. And even if I can make an impact on like 1 or 2 lives, it's an impact. So yeah, I would want to go back at some point, not sure when. And not that I want to live there or I know where I want to live, but I want to go back and do something in India at some point. Not clear what. Yeah, apart from that, I just want to keep living. I want to explore. I want to meet new people. I want to fall in love. I want to see the beauty around me, and like watch sunsets and write poetry, and
that I enjoy
drink
life.
some nice wine. And yeah, that's what I want.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm getting emotional here because we are going to finish this conversation soon, and then you are leaving this week.
I'm leaving next week.
But I know we're gonna still meet one more time, because your family is coming to Kuldiga, your parents.
Yes, in July.
Yes, and I have in my calendar and a meeting with them scheduled. And then, like to wrap this up, I can just wish you all the best. And it's been like really a pleasure to be around you. And like you have taught me a lot. in the first semester, it was a lot about India because I was nonstop like questioning you and showing you, asking you to show me videos and photos and tell me about the culture, and then also about service design because, like, when we were put in the same group, like it was quick when I realized, hey, this guy is already into service design for a while, so he knows the things, and then I would really see you in a teaching because you were like super patient and super well in explaining things, and yeah, just saying thank you, and yeah, it's been super nice to be with you, and I truly wish you so you find your best path, and we keep in touch, not to cry here. So the last question: where should people contact you in case they want to?
LinkedIn,
LinkedIn.
Instagram. Um, I mean, do you want me to?
No. We will put it in the
Okay.
description.
Yes.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
know you also have your portfolio. Is it still?
Yes, I have a website. If people want to check out my work, that will be linked as well.
Okay, really cool. So thank you, Som, for coming here, and thank you for this year together. It's been
Thank you so
amazing.
much. It's really been a pleasure for me as well, and thank you for introducing me to Latvia, for taking me to all these weird services, to the post office, to the hospital, like whatever I needed, you were there, and like I'm super grateful that we had you around as well.
And you saw Santa Claus
I
in,
did.
in,
I
in my
did.
home. You were
I
like,
sang Zvanishskan.
yeah, you
to
sang
him.
Latvian song to the Santa Claus in the
Yes.
Christmas. Was that your first time?
Singing the song, yes.
No, seeing the Christmas, the Santa Claus, or you have?
No, we have like Christmas
Oh,
celebrations in India, but like, yeah, singing jingle bells in Latvian was definitely for the first time.
to Latvian Santa Claus. Next winter it will be like Estonian Santa Claus. Okay, so thank you, Som. And you probably are running back to the others.
I have no idea. I'll probably have to check where people are.
So thank you, and bye bye to our listeners, and thank you very much for being with us. Bye.